Alrighty, so I'm going to record a week 4 video for attendance that is really my first video for this particular semester for the spring 2022. I've been rolling some old video, which honestly is a little hard for me, but it's just worked out based on my other classes. So today, as I looked at the video for week 4, I realized I probably need to update this. So that's what I'm going to do today for week 4. All right, so in week 4, and by the way, before we get there, you may have heard me say this, but I like to, once we pass the weeks, right, roll them up. There we go. So you're coming into week 4 with your first lab assignment. Okay, so here we are in week 4. And what I give you here on week 4 is a couple of things that we've kind of talked about. First, you're going to need Word loaded. By the way, Mac students, for this lab test, you can download the Mac version. Okay. But everyone is going to need to have Word because you can't use the Office 365 out on the web. You actually need the full program. Okay. So the reason I've provided this link is a reminder just that you're going to need it. Many of you got it in week 1, which was awesome. Now, the reason I've provided this link is that this is if you are on a Mac and you're going to be using your Mac as we move through to the last lab assignment. So I'm giving it to you before you need it in hopes that you'll take a look at this. So again, the reason I'm providing how to install Access on a Mac is for later, but I've noticed enough students who have tried to do this needed a little more time and they waited until the last item in this class. And because this class is a 9-week class, that, as a matter of fact, we get to scroll through, but I think it'll be in probably 4 weeks, you're going to need this. So I provide it here. But what you really want to check out is how to do the lab tests, right? And it's really important to understand the flow. And this is what I'm going to give you here, right? So the lab test is done, and I go over this, but just briefly, right? If you go into, as a matter of fact, I will go ahead while you're with me because I haven't actually made them available. So let's just go ahead and show hide. And what this is I control what is shown and not shown. So what I'm going to do in here is the lab tests are already showing. So by the time you get there, you're going to see a new addition, and then you have 3 lab tests. Okay, so this is the Access one. Again, the one for the Mac students, PC only. But these first 2, the Word and the Excel, you can use the Mac version. Of course, the Windows PC version is fine. But remember what we're doing here is you're actually going to end up downloading some content, working on it, uploading it into this system, into the My IT Lab system. Okay. And then you'll get a grade. And at that point, you're just reporting like you have reported everything else in this class into this submission here. Okay. So don't do, a couple students do this, and I'm just trying to prevent it, is that don't download the material, work on it, and then upload that Word document into here. That's not what you need to do. You need to actually upload it once you finish all the steps right here into, and this is again a little bit of a repeat. I still recommend watching the other video, but you're downloading, you're working on your computer, you upload it, and then you submit it for grading. And at that point, once it's graded, might take a second or two, you can, if you're good with your grade, which by the way, you can submit this multiple times. So you can submit it once, look at what you got wrong. It'll give you some great information on that, and then fix that and then submit it again. So this step can be done several times. Okay. And once you get the grade that you're happy with, then you can, like you've done before, create your PDF file by looking at your submissions, right? So viewing your submission and doing that same process. Okay. But if you do this piece, which is submit that Word into here, it won't give you any points because I really want the PDF, just like you've done with everything else and just like you will do in the Excel one. Okay. So that's what I want you to know mostly about this work here. And by the way, let's see what else is in here. Yeah, we're going to be talking about hardware and software. You all seem to be doing a fine job on the discussions and the chapter quizzes. But this week, there is definitely, because of the way the course is laid out, you have one less item, but this one has a bigger impact on your grade. So you definitely want to, the sooner you can get this done, the better. Okay, so I've actually, by this point, I'm actually recording this at the end of week 2, and what I'd like to do is also encourage anyone who hasn't joined to actually join the Discord server, because that's another great way, and I provide the links here. If you're not, if you have questions after because I'm a morning person, I'm not, and I had a whole discussion or attendance post about this, so hopefully you saw that. Okay. All right, so here's what I want to do. And this may be a repeat, but boy, is it important, because it speaks to any of these simulations that you're trying to do. So first, let me just go into now these are the lab tests. So I'm going to go back, do a step back, go into the course material, which I want to say while I'm here, by the way, is that I had a student last semester in my 9-week version that you're taking now, go through the whole course and not realize that there was an ebook that you got with the My IT Lab. So I don't want that to happen again. So you come into course material, you come into ebook, and then what you will see here is that there's one for Office, but the one for the textbook that you need for the quizzes is actually there. Okay, and then you click on that and it pops it up. So I just want you to know, in case you were ever wondering, where is a textbook? Because most of us have transitioned to ebooks, which is awesome. Okay, since we're doing Excel, let me just do Excel. Now, in here, just like before, we're moving now into Excel, which I love Excel. It's one of my favorites. And so uh, we match up the chapter quizzes, which you all seem to be navigating fine. But I want you to know the following. And this is not necessarily best practice, but actually, I got to get rid of that. Oh, it automatically got rid of that for me. Oh, by the way, the other thing is, I think Chrome works best here. I've been in conversations with folks, and it's just, it's what I think my IT lab recommends as well. So when you report, there's a couple things here. When you're reporting stuff out on Discord or you're asking about it, if you provide this step number, it really helps, because these can be in a different order for each student. So if you're asking for help, tell me which training or exam, which chapter, and then which specific question. The other thing I've noticed is some of you are having some keyboard challenges. So coming down here and getting this visual built-in keyboard. And by the way, you can also do combination keys, right? So you can do this plus enter, right? And then have it go. So if you're having a problem with keys, definitely try that. All right. Now I'm going to do something and by the way, hopefully you're all using the learning aids, right, on the trainings, because that's what they're there for if you're not sure how to do a step. So, but the thing I'm here to show you is I'm going to hit submit. And you might think, Rio, you haven't done any of the work. This is true and probably not the best, but because you can take it multiple times, I want to show you something, right? And it's really helpful, is if once you do one submission, and this might be you working through it, but you still needed, like you missed one or you wanted to come back, and this is also true with the exam. When you come in to view submission, to the place where you're normally submitting your grade, right? When you come in here, I believe it's right here. Each one of these questions actually has, and this is where it gets really helpful, the actual step-by-step instruction, okay, for you to see how to complete that item. And then the other thing is it gives alternative methods, because maybe if one method doesn't work for you, another method will. Okay, so that's great. It also shows you when you were doing something, your particular actions, so that you can see. Now, in this case, I didn't do anything, but you can actually go look at this as well. So there's some wonderful, helpful tools in here, and you can move around. If there was only one question you wanted to check out, you could do that as well. So this is definitely helpful. I definitely recommend checking it out. This is why also I want you to come in here to create your PDF, but also I want you to understand why it's important for you to come in here is so you can also see that. Okay, so let's see. Week 4, our first lab test, right? So I think what I'm going to do after today is I'm going to go ahead and release a couple of weeks ahead too for those students who, because I noticed there is a fair number of you that like to work ahead, and I like to encourage that as well. So for your Monday night item, you have that all important lab test. Do keep in mind if you submit after the due date, I do discount work 25%. Okay. So try not to have that happen, especially on a lab test. Now, lab test, matter of fact, if you want to know, let's actually end with this. Lab tests make up, okay, your practical exams, right? So there's 3 of them. They make up 15% of your overall grade. Okay, the final is 10, right? These simulated labs that we're doing are 30. So you can take 15 and divide it by 3, which would be 5%. So this represents the first item of the word lab test is going to represent 5% of your grade. Okay, that's why it's really important to do as well as you can. So after you've watched this, if you haven't downloaded Office, do that. If you're on a Mac, check this out. But definitely check out how to do the lab work. Check out the mini Excel one and then start in as soon as you can. Oh, you know what? There is one other thing I will tell you since I've been asked this before in my other classes. You know, this idea of the way I have my class set up to make you go through each item, if for some reason you are just like I want to get further into the content, you can full or kind of break my system by just submitting a file if it requires a file or a URL, right? Or actually just hit a reply, just submit a quiz. You can actually do that. Just know I'll grade it, I'll put it a 0 in there. You can come back later and do the late work. Okay, I've caught up on several topics here, so I know it was a lot. What do I want you to reply? Here's what I want you to reply. For this week, I want you to ask me a question or tell me which of the things that I've covered you didn't know, right? Or if you knew them all, say I knew every one of those, Rio, and that's awesome. So if you learned something new or if you learned something helpful, what is the thing that was new to you that you hadn't heard me say before? Right? That would be really great to know right here. All right, talk to you soon. Oh, let me say goodbye to you. Oh, have a great have a what we're on Friday for me, week 2. So whatever is heading your way, have a wonderful week and I'll talk to you soon. Peace out.